The Supreme Court recently ruled on a case involving a bigoted baker who refused to serve a gay couple. Now, ultimately, they sided with the baker, but their ruling was narrow, meaning that this decision doesn't set precedent for future cases. Now, for more on this, we'll go to Reuters, who reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Monday handed a victory on narrow grounds to a Colorado Christian baker who refused, for religious reasons, to make a wedding cake for a gay couple, stopping short of setting a major precedent allowing people to claim exemptions from anti-discrimination laws based on religious beliefs. The justices, in a 7-2 decision, said the Colorado Civil Rights Commission showed an impermissible hostility toward religion when it found that Baker Jack Phillips violated the state's anti-discrimination law by rebuffing gay couple David Mullins and Charlie Craig in 2012. The state law bars businesses from refusing service based on race, sex, marital status, or sexual orientation. The ruling concluded that the commission violated Phillips' religious rights under the U.S. Constitution's First Amendment. The vote was narrow not because of the number of justices for and against, but because of the slim precedent it sets. The justices did not issue a definitive ruling on the circumstances under which people can seek exemptions from anti-discrimination laws based on their religious views. The decision also did not address important claims raised in the case, including whether baking a cake is a kind of expressive act protected by the Constitution's free speech guarantee. Two of the court's 4 liberals, Stephen Breyer and Elena Kagan, joined the 5 conservative justices in the ruling authored by Justice Anthony Kennedy, who also was the author of the landmark 2015 decision legalizing gay marriage nationwide. So overall, the baker contends that making this cake for a gay couple would violate his sincerely held religious beliefs. But first of all, your religion is not a legitimate justification for you to discriminate against someone else. Second of all, him baking a cake for a gay couple wouldn't violate his religious beliefs any more than it would violate my atheist beliefs in the event I was a baker who was asked to bake a wedding cake for a Christian couple. If you run a bakery, your job is to bake fucking cakes. And if you open your door to the public, you're implicitly acknowledging that you'll be serving all types of people. You don't get to pick and choose who you don't want to serve based on arbitrary characteristics or immutable characteristics. So if your religion is so restrictive that it literally prohibits you from treating other people as human beings, then you shouldn't be open to the public in the first place. They're not asking you to be the officiant for their wedding. They're asking you for a fucking cake. But because this baker is a special little snowflake, he believes that his religion should give him unlimited authority to discriminate against people he doesn't like. But that is not the way this works. And what's odd to me is that there are even some progressives who seem torn on this issue. Well, do we side with the freedom of the baker or the freedom of the gay couple? Look, put it this way. Let's take gay couple out and substitute that for any other couple. Interracial couple, black couple, Muslim couple. Well, if it's discriminatory in those instances, then the same truth will hold when you apply it to gay couples. And second of all, we don't have to tolerate intolerance, otherwise tolerance itself wouldn't exist. And this may seem contradictory, but when you look at Karl Popper's paradox of tolerance, it makes sense. If you extend tolerance to those who are openly intolerant, it can lead to the extinction of tolerance altogether. So it doesn't mean that you silence these people or kick them out of the country. It just means that if this anti-gay baker wants to go to a homophobic rally on Tuesday, then on Wednesday when he shows back up at the bakery, he has to follow the law and treat all people equal and not discriminate based on arbitrary, immutable characteristics of other human beings. Now, the response that I often hear, which is widely viewed as a compromise, is that, look, how about this? We'll let bakers discriminate, but what gays can do is they can just choose to take their business elsewhere. Okay, so let's say, hypothetically speaking, that we're talking about gas stations and you're in rural Alabama and there's just one gas station and they don't want to serve you because you're gay or you're black. Then what do? You're fucked. And another thing that conservatives like to say is that, well, look, if someone is going to be openly bigoted against gay people, then obviously they're going to end up going out of business anyway, but at least give them the freedom to be bigoted and deny service to gay people. But that's not what we've seen. When you look at some of these cases, Christians, fundamentalists, evangelicals, right-wingers have come to the defense and raised money for these bigoted bakers. So the opposite of what you said will happen actually did happen in practice. So if we're going to be A modern society, we cannot tolerate this level of overt discrimination against people for arbitrary reasons. I'm not saying you're not allowed to discriminate against people who come in there yelling and cussing at you. You can kick them out. But when it comes to an issue like sexual orientation, which is an immutable characteristic, discriminating against them would be arbitrary because that's not something that they can control. You can control being a dickhead, which is why if somebody comes in yelling and screaming at you, you have the right to kick them out. But someone just being gay can't control that, and therefore you shouldn't be able to discriminate against them if you don't like the fact that they're gay. So there's no compromise here. It's immoral. So the only solution here is for right-wing Christian snowflakes to shut the fuck up and bake cakes and do their job. Otherwise, close shop.
Support this podcast by becoming a patron at patreon.com/Humanist Report.